All right, if that's all right. Okay, good. So welcome to 2021. We're talking restaurant resiliency resources and a little bit of PPP today. Happy to see everyone on the show. We'll do a quick round of introductions here in a second. We'll be using the chat today for questions and comments. And the first question for you is, when we have a more open 2021, what East Side restaurant are you interested in visiting? So you see that's right under number 3 for the agenda here. What restaurants are you looking forward to visiting in a more open 2021? So pop those in the chat, if you will, your answers to that, and we'll give you a report on those as we go. I'm on today with ISABA board members. Go ahead and wave ISABA if you're on the ISABA board. There's Tanya from the St. Paul Port Authority, and Randy Bloom from MSS, Chelsea from Visit St. Paul, Darren Varley from DB Creative. I don't think I've missed any board members. Thanks for being on, everybody. That's great. And I'm going to give you a peek at our annual sponsors here with a little screen sharing. So we are excited to have annual sponsors in 2021 coming to you. Ideal Printers, DB Creative, Harrington Langer and Associates at State Farm, Juan Cervantes State Farm Agency out on Ruth, the Sane Foundation, M Health Fairview and Ledeen Law, St. Paul Federal Credit Union and St. Paul Port Authority, Highway Federal Credit Union, Metropolitan State, Sunrise Banks, and Walters Recycling and Refuse. Those are our sponsors. So thanks for ISABA annual sponsors for being a big part of this. And for you, folks who are from those annual sponsors, we're always excited to have you on the call. So we have a couple of you on the call too. That's Tanya Bauer from St. Paul Port Authority, and Lori Seaver from the St. Paul Port Authority, and Darren from DB Creative, and Chelsea from Visit St. Paul. I think, yeah. Okay, good. Great. So let's do a little bit of, for Jonathan's sake especially, and any other guests, let's do a little brief introduction. Turn on your camera, and we're going to give a wave for some industry categories, and I'll give you a little shout out as we do this. So if you are from a small business on the East Side, if you're a small business owner or run a small business on the East Side, give us a wave. Got Eric Foster from East Side Bar, Michael McManus from 11 Wells, Thomas Herr from Hmong Village, DB Creative, Darren Varley. I think we've got them. If you are part of a nonprofit on the East Side, give us a wave. So there we've got Minnesota Humanities Center. Michael McManus, what nonprofit are you from? We'll let him turn on his, he's funning with us. Okay, when you turn on your mute and tell us.
11 Wells.
11 Wells is a nonprofit today. Okay. That's funny. Okay, and maybe true, I don't know, we'll learn more. Who else? Claire Thomas from ESNDC. Lisa, I can't say your last name properly, I don't think yet.
It's Tice, like dice.
Got it.
So I'm with the Greater East Side District 2 Community Council, as well as the White Bear Avenue Business Association.
Fantastic, welcome aboard.
Hi, Lori.
Randy from
I'm
MSS.
with District 1.
Lori Seaver from District 1. Fantastic. I said Nicole, I think, from Minnesota Humanities Center. Kennedy Rubin is from NDC. Fantastic. Okay, good. Kadir is from ADS. No, AEDS, African Economic Development Solutions. Kadir, welcome. Aaron, let's talk about funders. Okay, if you are from the funding community, give us a big wave. Okay, that's Aaron, yay! We're so glad you're here. Aaron is from the East Side Funders Group. Also a foundation that has supported ISABA this year, which is totally great. First time we've been supported by foundations, and we're so pleased about that. Thank you. All right, did we missed, oh, Tyler, we didn't get you from PaymentSmith. So PaymentSmith is a service that serves small businesses and also serving ISABA this year in credit card processing. And we're going to be running our entire invoicing for members through PaymentSmith this year. And it's going to look very different. It's going to be super cool and coordinated. You'll hear more about that as we go through the show. We've got a couple people on, maybe it's just audio on phones, but I want to make sure I don't miss them. So who is the audio on 651-238-6083?
Hi, this is Mary Tao. I'm with Sweet Hollow Cafe.
Hi, Mary. So glad that you're on. Welcome to the program. Another small business and restaurant represented. Yep. And then 651-353-3454.
Hey, this is Hussein with Beat Eats and Adams Food and Fuel.
Hey, fantastic, Hussein. Glad to have you on the program too. Adams Food and Fuel put a food truck together So also fits in this category of like, hey, food business, what is this resiliency thing? Does it apply? Great, you know, I have a whole bunch of questions on the food truck tip. All right, so that's who we are on the meeting. I don't think I've missed anyone, but if I have, don't be shy. All right, I think that's us. Okay, we do not have folks for police update at this moment. So I'm looking in the chat right now. I see some folks who think getting to Brunson's is a good idea this year. That's Nicole, and Tanya wants to get to Manana. St. Paul Brewing and now 11 Wells. Tyler Tran is going to get over there. Anybody else drop some of your ideas for where to be in the chat? I see Eric said tongue-in-cheek and Brunson's. Eager to try out North Star Grill. So am I. They opened in the midst of this, right on Payne Avenue. I'd like to, yeah, good, totally good. Ooh, looking forward to going to Brunson's and the Little Oven. Lisa, yes, I want to get to the Little Oven this year as well. All of the restaurants is what Aaron said. Well, you know, it's going to be a long year, but why not? It's going to be a long year. We're right at the beginning. Plenty of time. Manana and Brunson's are on Chelsea's list. All right, I think I've got everybody so far. Drop somebody. Oh, Urusso's got on. ESB. Tanya wants to dine in over at your place, Eric. Hmong Village, Hmong Market. Claire Thomas says Hmong Market. Eastside Thai. Thanks for dropping that in, Jonathan. Yeah, Elle, I was thinking we should talk a little bit about what she did with your project too. Totally a good example that you brought up the other day. All right, great. Totally good. We'll keep dropping those in and keep coming back to those as we go through the program. I want to introduce Jonathan Banks, co-founder and owner, director of NCXT, and going to talk to us today about the St. Paul Restaurant Resiliency Project. So Jonathan, thanks for being on the show.
Hey,
like I said, if you've got comments or questions, drop them in the chat and we'll hand it off to you. Jonathan, do you want me to make you the host if you have screen sharing to do?
Sure, yeah, I have a little slide deck that I can share today. So that will be a pretty good thing for us all to look at, and a good way for us to, you know, get acquainted with the project. I'm glad that Chelsea's on with us too, because VSP is a huge partner in the St. Paul Restaurant Resiliency Program. And so I'll go ahead and I'll you know, share my screen, and I'm really definitely looking forward to the commentary that comes up as we go through these slides. And so I can see an assortment of you on my screen while I go through here, but if you do want to come off mute and try to get my attention, that's fine. And I know that Paris mentioned comments in the chat too. So if anything comes up and I'm not paying attention to it, just shout it out and I'll get to it. So I'm really thankful to be here with y'all today. I'll try to, you know, do the most with the time that I have and not take any more than I need. But, you know, USABA's a huge stakeholder in this work. We're working through our partners in community and in business to try to reach restaurants as effectively as possible this go round. You may be familiar with the St. Paul Restaurant Resiliency Project from last summer. So we ran kind of version 1 of what we're doing right now last summer across the city. And when we did that, we did direct outreach to restaurants and kind of did an opt-in invite to allow folks to jump in. And we found some success in doing that. And we realized we'd have much more success in reaching the greatest number of restaurants that need the type of assistance that this project offers by connecting with stakeholders in community and in industry. So that's why we're here today. So this, as I mentioned, I'm glad Chelsea's here because VSP and NCXT are the two organizations that are really kind of leading the charge on the St. Paul Restaurant Resiliency Program. You know, speaking on behalf of NCXT, we're a company who helps organizations transform, you know, whether that's through innovation, equity, or, you know, transforming for growth. And, you know, we're really focused on technology modernization and the digital aspects of restaurants. One of the things that I've been saying is that I want to see every, you know, St. Paul restaurant in St. Paul become digitized this year. And at least we're going to provide the ability for them to do so through this program. And so, you know, at NCXT, we use a variety of design and business process, customer experience techniques to help businesses move forward. And really what we're leaning on here is a lot of, like I said, the digital transformation aspects of the work. So I'll go on. Chelsea, do you want to say anything about VSP and kind of what the role that y'all are playing in this project?
Yeah, I think next is truly, you guys are leading the charge on the information on all of this, but we are really excited to provide support in connecting to restaurants and other stakeholders in the community to provide resources for restaurants and just helping to get the word out there about the work that you're all doing. So thanks, Jonathan.
Thanks, Chelsea. Here are the program objectives. So we want to implement and enhance online ordering and delivery solutions. And so whether a restaurant has something in place right now, whether they need something, we want to engage with them and maximize their capabilities with those tools. So we're focusing on trying to lower the cost of delivery. So moving restaurants who might have like a variable cost delivery structure right now to a fixed cost and low cost delivery solution, and also moving customers who are accessing restaurants through higher cost delivery solutions like your Grubhub, Bite Squad, et cetera, to low cost delivery solutions. And then we're also doing deep dive consulting engagements as needed. And all of this is provided at no cost to the restaurants through this program. We're helping restaurants do more with digital marketing. And so we're helping them be more effective by ensuring their websites are up to date with menus, hours, locations, et cetera. And then we're also helping maximize social media for customer engagement. So making sure that there's a schedule in place, that there's a technology in place to support the schedule, and that the branding and all of those types of things are coming together so customers know that your restaurant's open and what the specials are of the week, and that you're a place that we can come and we can dine inside this week, and oops, we can't do that, but we can still order online. We want to make sure that those lines of communication are open. And then here today, sitting here talking with you all, we want to collaborate with all industry and community partners in St. Paul. We want to make sure that we've at least touched in and talked to all of the community organizations and neighborhood associations in St. Paul. And we're also looking to leverage local and regional pro bono support from companies like Target, Creed, et cetera. There's in 2020, many organizations said, we have a lot of goodwill, talent, and ability to help the community. And this is a place where we're really looking to engage with some of those folks. The process that we're going to walk through is, first we're going to go through and we're going to discover the restaurants who want to be in the program. We're going to engage with the city to make sure the next team in the city is all together on the same page. Then we're reviewing service integration options. So we've created a suite of preferred technologies that we'll be working with. And then we're going to continue to refine those integrations as we see the restaurants that are involved in the program and how they're utilizing the technology. We've got a family service package that we've created. When we say family, we're talking about restaurants that are either family owned or with 4 or fewer locations, usually doing less than 2 million in revenue a year. And so we've got a package created for them specifically that we're enhancing, that has resources, technology guides, all those operational guides to use for the restaurants. And then in the delivery phase, we're going to actually implement the technology recommendations for a minimum of 16 restaurants. So basically, when Next is working on this project, we've got to move at least 16 restaurants through the process. And I think we're going to be able to do that because we're leveraging a really cool model to use with the restaurants. And so here's the work that we're going to do with the restaurants. I'll get into that right now. We're providing assistance through a cohort model, and these cohorts are 2 to 4 weeks long. We're going to start them in February. And we're going to provide the following support through those cohorts. So we have the digital ordering systems cohort tracks. So there's 3 tracks as part of that: online and delivery for point of sale. Then there's implementing third-party online ordering. And then the 3rd track is converting to fixed cost delivery. For the digital marketing cohorts, we have 3 tracks. We have digital presence, customer retention, and customer attraction. And so Paris, you brought up the work that we did with Elle in the last go around of this project. And for Elle, it was simply maximizing her current point of sale system. And so, one of the things, restaurant owners are super busy, their time is valuable, and it's a very fast-paced industry. So some of the things that are available are kind of hard to, maybe recognize or notice without somebody like Next kind of having your back and watching out for you and coming in and saying, hey, did you know about this thing that you could use? And so we were able to work with Elle and do some research on her point of sale system and saw that was expandable to create online elements of that system so folks could place orders online. And so that was, one way where the project was able to help out last go around. Here are some of the resources that are going to be made available to restaurants. So financial assistance and support, physical space design and modification, and mental health resources. So these are kind of like referrals that the program is making for restaurants who are involved, because undoubtedly as we go through working with each restaurant, we're going to see hands raised for services outside of digital, and so we're going to be ready to help with that. And you all have a huge play there. Here are the program methods. So we kind of already talked about these, but we're creating cohorts of restaurants, connecting restaurants with resources, facilitating information sessions, and stakeholder reports. So one of the things is we have another information session this Friday, the 22nd. I want to say it's at 3 p.m. And so it's an information session where folks are going to get information like you're getting right now. We have these open to all stakeholders to attend those and to learn more about the program. We've also established a program registration website. It's not hard to find. If you go to ncxt.co and start poking around there, you'll quickly run into this website. And that's where we're connecting both restaurants and stakeholders together so they can exchange the resources that they have to offer and they need to receive. Okay, so these are some of our deliverables. We're providing that family restaurant package. We're also doing research and recommending other types of digital solutions that may complement a restaurant's operation. We're creating that restaurant resource guide. It's going to be 2 pages with all sorts of resources that restaurants need to have. We're doing that technology onboarding for at least 16 restaurants, and then we're going to create a final report for the city to review with all the outputs of the project and all the data that was collected within. So that's kind of should give you a good picture about what the restaurant project or this program is delivering for these restaurants. The next section of this conversation talks about how we're asking stakeholders like yourselves to get involved. But I do want to take a moment to, open it up for any questions. Also check the chat and see if I've missed any, because I know that I haven't had the chat visible on my screen right now. So I'll just pause real quickly.
Jonathan, I see that Chelsea dropped in that, Jonathan and everyone, Chelsea dropped in that link for the website that you mentioned in the Restaurant Resiliency Project. One question that I have is what you would say at this stage is the next step for restaurants that might want to learn more. Stakeholders like the technical assistance providers like NDC, ESNDC, and AEDS that are on the call. So maybe for those 2 stakeholder groups.
Sure. Well, there's one website to go to for both, and that's ncxt.co. And if you go there, you'll easily find kind of the page where it says, St. Paul Restaurant Resiliency Program, and they'll say, I'm a restaurant or I'm a stakeholder. And so depending on who you are, go to either one of those links. And what those will provide you is a short form where you fill out your name, email, and why you're interested. And then we take that information and we call you back. And then we call you back and we start working with you, either help you get into one of these cohorts if you're a restaurant, or if you're a stakeholder, we connect you with restaurants who have indicated a need for the services that you're offering.
That makes sense to me. Other questions? I don't see other questions in the chat. Is there anyone who wants to gesticulate wildly and ask a question at this moment? Oh, I actually have another question, but anybody who, I don't see anyone waving. So I would say, Jonathan, how broadly is restaurant defined? So Eric mentioned the North Star Grill. I mean, we've got a whole bunch of members like the Legion, like St. Paul Brewing right next to 11 Wells, but 11 Wells that doesn't do food, like the food truck, Hussein Khatib that's on. Talk about how broadly restaurant is defined.
Yeah, I would say all of those. So breweries, food trucks, restaurants, and mostly, like I said, I think our prioritization, the program isn't closed to anyone, but one of the things is we are looking for kind of those 4 locations or fewer, 2 million annual revenue or less types of establishments. So that's who our primary outreach is. That's who we're reaching out to primarily.
Okay, that's looking good to me. So I'm going to ask you to maybe let's go on, and then I'd love to get some individual feedback from some of the restaurateurs or businesses on the call to see if they've got specific questions, or I'd like to ask them a specific question or two too, just about your program, and maybe we can go from there. So back to you, Jonathan.
That's awesome, and same from me as well. I'd love to hear from y'all. So for the stakeholders, question is, am I a stakeholder? And the answer is, well, if you have the experience, expertise, or energy to assist restaurants now, then you are. And I think the reason why we leave it so open is because in the last run of this Restaurant Resiliency Project, we found that the needs of restaurants varied so much. And one of the chief benefits was just being able to collaborate with others in the industry, right? And so that's a place where stakeholder involvement is huge. So we really want industry partners to give their best to keep St. Paul restaurants open, active, and resilient. Together, we can provide the technical support, guidance, and sustainability resources to our local restaurants. So please go to that website, register to get involved, and we'll get you connected with the restaurants who can help you the most and who you could help the most. Here are the types of ways you could get involved. So when you go to the website, you're going to be asked a few questions. So here's a few ways you can get involved. So number one is recommending the program to your constituents and members. So if you have a restaurant, bar, food truck operator who's in your network, who you think could benefit from this program, please have them go to the website and register. We'll reach out to them, get them into a cohort and help them, whether it's digital menu or ordering systems, or whether it's digital marketing. We'll get them involved. And again, there's these services are being provided by the city, so there's no charge for it. If you have the skills or talents around systems integration, so this is kind of like that pro bono angle, or even if you're just an independent person who wants to pitch in and help, if you have systems integration expertise around websites, digital menus, point of sale, or delivery systems, please go in and register, and we'll get you connected with the restaurant who is looking to receive some of that support. Thanks, Tyler. If you're a data person, that's a big part of this. We want to gain an understanding about what's going on with the restaurant industry in St. Paul. So if you're great with analysis around market needs, market trends around restaurants, customer preferences, those types of things, right? That's super helpful. If you can provide access to financial assistance, that's huge. Like, obviously we got the PPP section of this call that we're going to go through. But if you have a program and you need to fill it with some participants, restaurants in this program could be easily connected to you if you're a stakeholder in it. So it's another way that you can attract folks to your program. One of the things that we had go around last time is, like we said, a lot of restaurant operators are very heads down in their operation. So thinking and planning strategically around budgeting, forecasting, and managing the finances, it seems like when that sits on the shelf, it doesn't go cold as fast as food once it's cooked. So if you can, if your organization has the ability to help there, that's great too. Obviously with patios, egress for going in and out of the restaurant, if you can help with space planning, interior design, those types of things. And also if you have resources for mental health that you can offer, it's a huge concern and a place to help. In fact, from the project that we ran over the summer, that was some of the most valued support that was provided to restaurants, because for some it was a total blind spot. So please go ahead and go to the website and register ncxt.co. For as far as communication goes, once you go and register on that website, we'll be distributing a program newsletter to everybody who's registered on that website, ncxt.co. So even if you went to the website, you said, I don't have anything to offer, at a minimum, you'll still get a newsletter to tell you what's going on. And then what will inevitably happen is you'll see an update one day when we're talking about the gaps and issues or opportunities to help with restaurants in the program, or the technologies and tools in use. Something will click and you'll say, I want to get involved, or here's where I know someone I should forward this email to who talked about helping there. So please pay attention to those stakeholder reports when they're sent, give them a glance and see how you can get in. Yep, so, and I think this is the end. I think I've actually got more comfortable with saying go to ncxt.co throughout this presentation. I'm usually not very pitchy like that, but go to ncxt.co to get started today. There's a link for the St. Paul Resiliency Project right there, and you can click and get started.
I have a
I think
question.
that's that.
I have a question.
Hey, thank you.
Well, I work with Neighborhood Development Center, and I'm in the training department, but I also have my colleagues that work in our Biz Lab department that also does TA services.
Yes.
So I am curious to know, one of our stipulations is that we need, in order for them to access the TA, they need a business plan or an executive summary. Do you have a requirement like that in order to access your services?
No, we don't.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. We're very much just dropping in the middle of this to try to help triage and, you know, help restaurants be as resiliency as they can with what they have in place today.
Kim asked a good question that makes me think of this though, Jonathan. If she had some contacts for technical assistance, and she put in some of the requirements for her programs or for her services, are you or a staff member from Next helping really like do the matchmaking, connecting businesses that have particular needs with technical assistance providers that may have the right kind of eligibility and right expertise?
Exactly. So that's right. And I think one opportunity here would be if there's needs that are beyond, you know, digital implementation of marketing or ordering systems, right? If the needs are beyond that, then we definitely love to make a referral and even do maybe some light preparation to let the restaurateur know what they need to be prepared with if we have that information available. And I think also, you know, when it comes to that resource guide that we're putting together, you know, that's a place where that information could be contained, you know, depending on the space available, but we could definitely contain the information about other TA programs that are available, what they could help with, and how to get into those. Thanks for helping expand that comment. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank
Do
you.
you have a follow-up?
No, that was, I just appreciate you for that follow-up. So.
Yeah, very good. And I think that also would apply to your work, Kadir. You know, if you were able to get on and let Jonathan know what AEDS has to offer, then he can help direct folks who might be looking for those services. The other advantage that I see to this is, and I'm curious about restaurant owners that are on the call, these seem to be exactly the kinds of challenges that are hard to climb. The digital ordering, figuring out what platforms to use, or making it work with your point of sale that you've currently got. And so getting in and learning a little bit about this one seems like it would be one of those no-brainers for, if you didn't have it already, for every one of the restaurants that was mentioned in the chat earlier. And I counted up 13 of them. So, you know, we could almost fill your cohort with just East Side restaurants that have been mentioned on the call or are sitting on the call right now. But I want to ask Eric in particular, or Thomas, or Mary from Sweet Hollow, what kinds of thoughts you have about this kind of service or this kind of tool?
Yeah, I mean, certainly seems, like you said, lots of potentially really helpful stuff.
I guess, you know, one question I have is, you know, I certainly wouldn't be averse to taking advantage of these kind of resources, because I can use all the help I can get at this point. And but you know, I immediately go to thinking about other restaurants on the east side that I can think of that I think could really probably use a lot of this kind of help more than I probably could. And I don't know if you have also the ability to, like, you know, reach out directly to somebody who might benefit from this kind of thing, but isn't necessarily likely to go to the website and sign up. So, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm thinking all over the place. But in general, I think it's super helpful, and especially because right now, I know I think I would probably be speaking for any restaurant owner right now, is that there's so many things that are pressing on us and pressing on our brain to try to figure out, that it's overwhelming all the time. I mean, you know, I was saying the other day that just figuring out which assistance things you might be able to apply for is overwhelming, because there's so many things that people talk about, and figuring out if you're eligible and blah, blah, blah. It's just, it's practically a full-time job, just applying for assistance while you're also trying to figure out how to, you know, make payroll and keep the doors open one more day. And so anything that helps, I think, is certainly great.
Well, thanks, Eric. And I love your perspective there, because this community is so, I would say, just, it's so empathetic to each other. And I love the fact that you bring out, like, hey, I could use this, but, you know, I could see some others across the street or down the block who may need it more. I think, you know, the thing is we want to reach the folks who may not be going to the website. That's why we're here, honestly, you know, with ISABA, is because we know that there's, you know, there's folks engaged with ISABA who aren't going to be engaged with the city or next. And so that's great. And we do have the ability to reach directly out to folks if we have a name and, you know, we know that we should be doing so. We'll also be sending a blast out to everybody who's registered, you know, who has their restaurant registered through the city. So we'll be working with the city to do that. But I think, Eric, you know, there is room in this for everybody, and something that keeps a program like this moving is how useful it is, right? So it doesn't really matter. So a restaurant won't be displacing another restaurant in the program because they're participating. So please feel free to, you know, if there's anything you saw that's helpful, or, you know, that would be helpful to a restaurant like yours, you know, there's definitely room for them, and there's really room for everybody. There's no deadline to this work. Obviously, there's a deadline to, like, running your business and keeping it open, because time is of the essence. But as far as our engagement with the city and this program, one of the things we learned from last summer was that we needed to make more of a program, something that could run long-term, kind of have a rolling enrollment. So you don't have to get in by February 1st and then it's closed. We'll be able to keep spinning up 2 to 4 week cohorts as we find additional interest in the program. And so, yeah, please do register if it's something that would be helpful.
And it seems like what you're saying is timing is everything too. So if it's not helpful right now, go ahead and let it simmer and come on and let it be helpful down the road. It sounds like there's no fault to going ahead and getting registered, so you're getting informed right now, even if you weren't a part of this initial cohort. Am I hearing that right, Jonathan?
Yep. And yeah, when you get registered, you'll get on those newsletters, and then also, you know, in our system, we'll reach out to you, and then you'll say, hey, let's wait until later, and we'll say, okay, and then we'll mark that down and, you know, put a little tickler to give you a call back later.
Okay, so Thomas asks a great question about Hmong Village, and Thomas, I was curious about what you think about this when you've got a number of food vendors in Hmong Village, and he says, if you have written materials, we can distribute them to our kitchen vendors. More than half do not read or write English, though. So thinking about resources to reach a community that probably would love to know more about how to do this. Or Thomas, would you think that maybe Hmong Village would facilitate a platform and vendors could join you? I mean, you have a different situation. Thomas, I just invite you to let us know about that.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Tom.
this is he. I mean, right now, everything is kind of like stuck in the middle, and no matter what we plan, it's just like the pandemic doesn't allow us to do what we want to do. But if at any time that there is a room for us to work together to reach out to our vendors, our kitchen vendors, so that they understand how to utilize the system. And, you know, I guess more importantly, it's a platform where they truly know what benefits them, you know? So we have to figure something out that educate them that the program that we have truly benefit them.
That's great, Thomas. And I think that you know that is a challenge, kind of sorting out how that fits together. Maybe Jonathan, that's a follow-up conversation with Thomas about what you think you know the role of your program is with smaller vendors like the ones he has inside Hmong Village.
Yeah, and I think that there is a very good role there. You know, we've got a very diverse team at Next, and so you know, I think we can get through some of the obvious obstacles that present themselves pretty quickly, and get down to really unlocking the value of this program for folks at Hmong Village. So, yeah, Thomas, I'll send you an invite if that's okay, and we can have a follow-up conversation and figure out the best way to position this program so it's useful to your constituents.
Yeah, we're here, and our management staff speak multiple languages, so we can help you design something that benefits the program as well as our vendors.
That's beautiful. Can't wait for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Eric Foster also popped in and asked about Spanish-speaking capacity too. I was hoping we would have someone from LEDC, Latino Economic Development Center, on the call today. That staff is fairly well known to us on the East Side and at the East Side Enterprise Center, but I wonder about that, Jonathan, just in terms of your initial outreach and your digital work.
Yeah, you know, everything's, you know, the outreach so far has been in English, but I think similar to, you know, what we just spoke about with Thomas, I think that we want to evolve the program to not only do translation, but to really repackage it so it fits the community's needs the most. So thanks for bringing that up, Paris.
Paris, can I have a question for Jonathan? This is Kadir.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan, for such nice service that you are providing for the community. My question is a little bit is general, not specific. If correctly understand you, are you as organization working with a specific geographical setting like East Side, or are you providing for restaurant business for a wider range? Where are you focused on?
Business within the city limits of St. Paul.
So that means the parameter of the service is limited.
Correct. Yes, it's limited to St. Paul.
Thank you. Just I want to know, because we got like a wide range of community that need the service. So I want to know in what parameter I have to reach you out and get the service from you. So just to get a clear outline where we are and where you are at. So most probably I will connect to you. So thank you.
Yeah, and that's cool. And yeah, so the last go around, we had some restaurant owners who had restaurants in multiple cities. And so we worked with them on the restaurants in St. Paul as well.
That makes sense. So Kadir, if you've got a restaurateur who's got a restaurant in Minneapolis and one in Bloomington and one in St. Paul, Jonathan would help them with the St. Paul profile.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. But we do have a couple of restaurants in Simple as well. So
Oh yeah, no, of course you do. You can get specific, I imagine.
And if you have restaurants in another city, we should talk to those city officials about expanding the program there.
okay, that's another option as well. So yeah.
Yeah, you may never do anything but restaurant resiliency work, Jonathan.
Maybe.
Oh,
Maybe.
okay, so we've got a couple of folks who needed to pop off. It looks like Lisa has already sent it to the WABABA list, that's the White Bear Avenue list, and to the Mobile Food Minnesota, which is
Thank
a
you.
mobile food network, and she had to jump off the call. Mary asks a question here from Sweet Hollow. As a small family business, I greatly appreciate this program. Our skill sets are limited, and to have these resources available to help our business is very welcome and appreciated. Thanks, Mary, for
You're
putting
welcome.
it in the chat.
Thank you.
I wanted to follow up and just ask one more thing here, and then we'll switch gears a little bit, but we could continue to ask questions about this. We'll talk a little bit about PPP here. But Jonathan, before we do, it sounds to me, and this is the charge for business associations and everybody on this call, if you have a favorite place on the East Side that you hope will survive, connecting with the program like this is our charge. So the question, like, will you reach out specifically? Yeah, I mean, Jonathan will reach out specifically, and from him, it'll look like a cold call. Eric, when you walk down the street and talk to your 4 favorite, restaurants right there around you, they're looking at you. They know you. That's the same is true for Lisa out in District 2 and Claire down on Payne Avenue, and Mike, you and your neighbors, and Councilmember Prince, who's on the call, and everybody else who's on the call. So, I think it behooves us, Jonathan, to figure out, when I walk in and actually talk with somebody with my mask on, I want to be letting them know that there's this program and they can find out about it. And I want to have that on the tip of my tongue. At NCXT.co, you can find out about this restaurant. Let me write it down for you. It doesn't sound like there's a walking piece right now or is there something I could print out from your website?
There will be shortly. We're developing those resources right now as part of our design phase. So there will be shortly.
Okay, perfect.
Everybody who signed up on the newsletter will be the first to know.
That's great. And Kadir and Kennedy and folks from LEDC, right? Like, those are your clients. They're going to listen to you differently than they will from an email coming from Jonathan, right? So, I mean, that's where I really feel like it's Isaba's. This is where we can do really good work, is reaching out to our neighbors to make sure East Siders are a part of the cohort that he gets to start in February. Final thoughts about this, Mike? I didn't get you, called in here. Can you see a place where this would fit in for you? Oh, and we have some new folks that joined too. Fantastic. Go ahead, Mike.
As in McManus?
Yeah, as in you.
Oh, I originally came on to look at it from a different perspective, Paris, in that, we've still got tons of sanitizer around that we can provide to restaurants, but, a lot of this stuff is, helpful to us and from the social media point of view, as well as the menus, as we've gone to the same menus everybody else has with the reading of the barcode things.
Fantastic, right. So you've got some components of your business that may be good to review. And, I wonder if there's a place for that, Jonathan, right? Like, you get some bit of support or help with this. It sounds like that's totally available. Like, you get the menu of possibilities here.
Yeah, that's why we try to split up the cohorts as they are. And if you're just there for a specific part, that means you are focusing on other things in your business, as opposed to things that we're covering within the cohort. So, and the hand sanitizer, I mean, that's a question for stakeholders. What are some things you can provide? That's one that's out there. So, if we need to get that distributed, this is the program that can help. But surely, we are in a different place than we were last May, April, June. I think a lot of folks have turned a corner and at least have, a digital version of their menu, whether they've implemented Talk or, Evolution Online Ordering or something like that. And so we definitely plan to find folks who are in different stages of their journey, to get their digital transformation journey. And so that's where we have those different cohorts to accommodate.
Terrific, thanks, Jonathan. Oh, go ahead, Kennedy.
I have a question. So so these individuals that's assisting the entrepreneurs with their business, are those just like regular contractors, or are they working with?
They'll be, yeah, so they'll be working with me for one, team members at Next. We're also working with some of the industry partners as far as, you know, directly from the software distributors as well. So we have kind of a level of different levels of folks helping out here. We also have some great assistance from folks at the Right Track program in St. Paul. So we have some good interns coming from that program to help out as well.
That's good that you're involved in the youth. I like.
Oh. And we have a real group of outstanding youth working on this project right now. So if you get a chance to work with them, it will probably be one of the lights of your week.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you for that.
Of course.
Okay, so I'm going to drop the next component. I see that Lori Seaver already sent the email to Loso Campo, family-owned business that has got a couple locations on the east side. That's a great one. Armando will love to get that. And it would be fantastic to connect with some of the businesses that are outside of our network a little bit too, of course. You know, the east side is vast. That's why we need us all working on this together. Here's the second half of our show, and we've got 9 minutes for the second half of our show. This is a great conversation.
Thanks, everyone. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me, Paris.
Yeah, thank you. And stick around here because we're going to talk a little bit about PPP, and I want to open it up in such a way as to say, this is really the first week of the second half of PPP opening, or not second half, the second round. And what we know so far is that Sunrise Bank opened this week prior to other CDFIs, community development financial institutions, who will open next week. That's my understanding. And that they've prioritized working with women and minority-owned businesses. So, and they prioritize that for 2 days in particular, like Wednesday and Thursday and Friday here, they're only doing those, and then they'll start and open it up more broadly next week. We're gonna see how this rolls out, and we'll have a full PPP schedule to talk about next week in terms of how the program is going forward. But one thing we know is that restaurants have a special preference on this round of PPP. And all I know about that so far is that they're eligible for 3.5 times payroll on that monthly versus the 2.5 that they were available for before. That said, I just want to open it up here broadly for like other things you know about the PPP right now, other things you've got questions about. If you've got a question or a comment, you can drop it in the chat or you can wave. I see no waving. I see no questions in the chat. So we'll know more about the PPP, and we're going to be working on kind of rolling this forward and talking about it specifically next week at our Eastside Connect. So we'll know more next week, and we'll be talking about what those resources look like and how to take the next step forward on those. All right. So let's move into an announcement time, and also I'll just make an announcement. We'll pick up this piece next week too, so you'll know it's coming. If you look in the chat here, I want to talk with you about topics for Eastside Connect. So our board has been working on this. Our programs committee has been working on thinking about how we structure our topics for Eastside Connect. And we'll dig into this next week. But under these kinds of topic headings, safety, workforce, sustainability, equity, livable communities, what the city can do, and networking our nonprofits those are the big umbrellas. And so next week, I want to talk to you about how any of those intersect with your work and topics you think we should talk about on Eastside Connect. Right now, I want to just shift over and say hi to some folks who joined us in midstream here that we didn't get to meet before. I see Dia Cha and Nate, who I'm not sure about Nate. So it'll be fun to meet him. Patrick Rubel from the St. Paul Realtors Association, president of the St. Paul Realtors Association. Hi, Patrick. Oh, you're in a different place than you are usually too. You're not across the street from Darren right now.
No, I'm actually at the office, and my last day as president was yesterday. So
Oh!
I'm now just a past president.
Newly free past president. As well as Council Member Jane Prince is on as well. And Council Member, I think you had a couple of announcements.
Yeah, I have two announcements. The first one is that the mayor has issued an executive order to delay enforcement of the to-go packaging ordinance for 40 days. You'll recall that the city council passed to-go packaging, that you need to convert your to-go packaging to recyclable or compostable by January 1st of this year. So if you haven't switched over yet, you have a 40-day reprieve right now. That said, a few of us on the council would like to see the council amend the ordinance to have it not take effect until January 1st of 2022. And that is for 3 reasons. The first one is the condition of the difficulty that restaurants and food businesses are facing right now, their reliance on takeout, and if they haven't made the conversion, that is likely to be an expensive conversion that will add to their costs. The second reason is that even if we wanted to enforce the program in 2022, given issues like unsheltered homelessness and other priorities of the Department of Safety and Inspections, it's highly unlikely that they would make a priority of enforcing the to-go packaging ordinance. So if we're not going to be able to enforce it, then we definitely see some value in not putting that pressure on businesses. And the third reason is that the reason it wasn't to take effect until January of this year was that we were waiting to coordinate it with Ramsey County curbside composting pickup. If you are, as restaurants, are sending your food home in compostable containers, and your customers who live in St. Paul, we don't have the option of curbside recycling. So basically the value of that, curbside compost recycling, the value of that is not realized. And people say to me, well, they can take it to the composting sites. The problem with that is that, you know, if you think of it as an energy savings, then driving a couple of containers to the compost pickup site just doesn't make a lot of sense. So, however, not all of us are of the mind that we should put off enforcement for a year, because we definitely did this to clean up our solid waste stream in St. Paul. So if you have not made the conversion yet, if this is going to create difficulties for you, please reach out to your council member in the next couple of weeks and let them know of the impact. Or conversely, if you've made the switch already and you believe that everybody should make it this year, let us all know that as well. The second thing that I have to tell you about is the council passed an emergency ordinance yesterday to come down on these third-party delivery services that are presenting themselves as though they're associated with your restaurants and are charging exorbitant fees to deliver. And I don't understand this issue as well as I should, how it works. I'm going to read you part of the ordinance. It said, in many instances, third-party food delivery platforms and services without the local restaurant's knowledge or consent will purport to sell meals from local restaurants to consumers and sometimes charge exorbitant fees to the already struggling local restaurants during the time of the declared emergency. And the fees charged by so the council found that the fees charged by a third-party food delivery platform should be capped for the period of the local public health emergency to avoid further harm to valuable and important establishments that are suffering right now. I will send the, I'm gonna put my email in the chat, and I will send you out the ordinance because you will understand it better than I do. I mean, I definitely understood that it was important, but I don't know about these services. I do also know that Minneapolis passed the same emergency ordinance, so it would be applicable in both cities. And so I am not, again, I will send you out the ordinance if you need a copy of it. It will take effect, I believe, on Monday, and it's intended to help all of you restaurant and bar businesses. And I think that's all I have to say right now, but obviously reach out to me for any way that I can help.
Thanks, Councilmember Prince.
Yeah.
So I'll also work on just summarizing that in our next e-newsletter next week. So yeah, please send it to me and I'll work on getting us a way to take a look at it and see if we can sort it out. All right, so we are at the end of our time. Just want to, the other thing I'll just say is that Isaba also has our donate link in the chat right now. We used to be able to get together and, you know, high five at the end of this thing and eat a little food and have it catered from one of our area restaurants. Sometime this year, I'm just saying, I think it's sometime this year that's going to happen again. But until it does, I can't charge you $5 for a meeting and no lunch. But if you want to make a donation to Isaba, you are more than welcome to do so. The most important thing I want you to continue to do is continue to show up and participate, and let's continue to do this work together. And right now, to reach the restaurants and food businesses, the food trucks, the bars and breweries that can use Jonathan and St. Paul, the city of St. Paul's support on this project. So thank you, everybody. We will be back next week. Oh, and one more thing. We will be back next week, and we are working on shifting gears to have this meeting at 11 a.m. So 11 a.m. next Thursday, just with a show of hands, can you do 11 a.m. in general on Thursdays? Ooh. There are a couple people kind of. I know 11's harder for restaurateurs. Okay, Claire's kind of like, hey, maybe, I don't know. We'll just see.
Yeah, three out of the 4 Thursdays of the month I can do 11.
We'll take you 3 out of 4 Thursdays. All right, fantastic. Looking forward to seeing you, and we'll be posting a link and be looking for that. We'll be talking about resources next week and talking about the East Side Connect. Thanks everybody for showing up this time. We'll talk with you later. Bye.